whatever the question is.
Alright. How old are you when Kennedy was assassinated? In
I think 25.
Where were you when you heard about the assassination?
I was at Fort J Hospital being checked because I was drafted into the Army, but my blood pressure was a little over the top, so they wanted to keep check on me overnight. And they didn't want me in the service, so they gave me 4F, and I was waiting online to get my subway token to go back from Fort J Hospital. And the phone rang, and the girl at the front in her Army uniform picked up the phone, and she went, "What?" She said, "Nobody's going anywhere. You'll probably all be re-inducted. The president was just assassinated." So I knew exactly where it was.
How did the news affect you?
Very sad. I was very excited that I was not taken into the Army, but I was very sad because I couldn't tell anybody. I felt terrible.
Who do you think was responsible for the assassination, and what was his or her motivation?
I believe it was not just Oswald. I believe it was a total conspiracy. There were too many people who heard too many things happening from all different sides. And then Oswald was taken out. He was killed by Ruby, and then Ruby was killed. It was almost like they were cleaning up after to make sure there were no witnesses.
Did you serve in Vietnam War, and do you know anyone who did?
I didn't serve, but my friends did, and they were injured very badly. One has a steel plate in his head and gets 90% disability. Another one was also, but the one with the disability is karate instructor and a school teacher, gym teacher. And the other one's a physical therapist, a chiropractor, and sports medicine physician. Blank, blank, blank. I know a few other friends of mine. Yeah.
Did you ever watch news reports about Vietnam on television?
Oh,
If
yeah.
So, how did it affect your views on the war?
Oh, I hated the war. I thought it was a bad war. I mean, we were watching people getting killed while it was happening. It was on television. It wasn't just the news and then they would edit things out. No, this was happening.
What were your reactions to the following movements, and were you directly involved with any of them, the anti-war movement?
I was totally for the anti-war movement, but I didn't protest or anything like that. I was very unpolitical. Still am. Yeah.
Civil rights.
Civil rights, totally for it. Martin Luther King, my friend Andy Goodman, who was in class with me at NYU, he was killed by the KKK, one of the civil rights workers down in Mississippi, I believe it was. He went down to help with voter registration, and they killed him. Him and Michael Schwerner and the other guy. I can't think of his name. So I was totally for the civil rights movement. And what else?
Equal rights for women.
Oh, definitely for equal rights for women. There's no reason why, they shouldn't have equal rights.
Makes sense. Counterculture, the hippie movement.
I was right in the hippie movement with my afro and my mustache that hung down. I looked more Puerto Rican than I did what I am, and I taught in Spanish Harlem at the time, and I was a musician, and I was at Woodstock, and all of that kind of stuff. I was a hippie, a hippie dippy.
What event from the 1960s had the most effect on you?
The killing of Kennedy, Martin Luther King, and everybody. I mean, everybody was getting, and Robert Kennedy, and then you had the Castro with the whatchamacallit. You'll probably ask me the question. Okay.
What person from the 1960s do you most admire?
Kennedy. Yeah.
What was your favorite music group?
Rolling Stones at the time. And Patti Benatar was just getting there. Well, she was in the 70s.
Do you have a favorite humorous memory from the 1960s?
Humorous memory. Humor. Being at Fort J Hospital and doing dynamic tension karate exercises to build my blood pressure up, and sitting in the lounge, and in walks this big Afro-American sergeant looking down at the group and says, "Who's practicing that karate?" And everybody looked at me, and I went, "Me?" And he said, "Who do you study with?" And I told him. He said, "No kidding." He said, "Wow, come on over here, let's talk." And I just went, "Oh, go ahead." I injured myself. Go ahead.
Is there any sad memory that has stuck with you?
Oh, yeah, well, the whole 60s was a sad time. Everybody was getting killed, assassinated, shot, murdered. Very, very sad. And these are all good people.
Do you view the 1960s as a good time or a bad time in history?
Both. The hippie movement was a good time, with the free love and I don't want to say the drugs. I wasn't into the drugs, but everybody was, doing their thing. I never inhaled. I was like the Clinton. I never inhaled. Yeah.
What impact or influence did the 1960s have on our country?
On our country, it tore the country apart. I mean, with the Vietnam War, and there was, it was a bad war, and Kent State and students getting killed right here by the National Guard, shooting them by accident, supposedly. Didn't realize that they had live ammunition, killing all these students who were protesting. A very sad time. A lot of sad things happening.
How did your experience in the 1960s affect your attitudes about life today?
Life today, I should have stayed single. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No. Affect my attitude for today? Well, it helped me with my wanting to be a teacher. Taught in Spanish Harlem for 12 years, came out here as an actor. Well, I was acting. I was doing a lot of acting at the time in the Greenwich Village when I was at NYU in 54 to 63 and doing off-Broadway shows, off-Broadway shows, independent films. And then I got involved out here with the acting, and my son is doing great. Anyway. Yeah.
How do you feel about the Sputnik launch?
Oh, it was really exciting. Especially when we landed on the moon, and I stood by the TV watching and looking for the aliens to come and go hi, but there were no aliens.
How did the minimum wage hike from $1 to $1.25 during '63 affect you?
It really didn't affect me much because of the fact I was in school and I was working as a musician and I was getting paid, as a musician. So I wasn't working for a company or a corporation. So it did not affect me one bit. I was making more money as a musician in those days. That's what put me through college.
What did you think when Kennedy proposed the moon program?
Oh, I thought that was one of the most exciting things. Even, today, it's still, UFOs looking for the aliens to come down and say, "Hey, we're here."
Yeah. How did the tax cut of '64 affect you?
The tax cut didn't affect me at all. No, didn't affect me.
How do you think it affected our nation?
A tax cut? I have no idea.
No idea.
Have no idea. That's a question I can't answer.
How did the transit bill affect our country?
The transit bill?
Yeah, the building of Johnson signed a bill to build highways and roadways from suburbs to cities.
Well, it didn't affect me except when I was driving, but it did give a lot of work to a lot of people who needed work, I would imagine the same as when FDR, did a similar thing, building the infrastructure of the country.
All right, and last question: which is better, today or in the 1960s?
Well, if you got rid of Trump, I would say today.
All right, makes sense.
But the 60s had a lot of good stuff and a lot of bad stuff,
Yeah.
And today, I'm like I say, I'm very unpolitical, but with all the negative things about the president, he's done a heck of a lot on his own because nobody would help to back him up. And he's made a lot of inroads and changed a lot of things and made it positive. Get down!